today we're asking the questions, are INFJ slow learners? What is the INFJ learning style? And I'm gonna make you familiar with the INFJ exponential learning curve. So how often have you been in situations, maybe at work, maybe when you're with your friends and you wanna learn a new skill, and you take longer? And it happens over and over again to this extent that you've decided not even to try because you know it's gonna take you forever, you're embarrassed about it, and therefore nothing really gets done. You build up this anxiety because you need to hide the fact that you need longer than others to learn something. Well, today we're gonna tackle exactly this because it has a huge advantage that most of us completely overlook. If you wanna learn all the strategies that work wonders for INFJs, then get the new course, Financial Abundance for INFJs. I've worked with a lot of financially successful INFJs in my one-on-one coaching, and all of this has been the basis on creating that course for you that you voted for. So if you're ready to take the next leap in increasing your financial abundance, then either get the course through the link in the description or through the prompt in the video. So let's start with the basics. Why do INFJs feel like they're so slow learners? Well, it has a lot to do with the fact how we accumulate knowledge. In most of the cases, we build a spider web of all the information we get and we create a system around it. This is what makes our learning style so unique. But if we don't know that, we just look at the results, and we look at the results way too early. So let's say you're with a friend and you both are learning a new skill. After a day, your friend is making huge improvements and you are still stuck in the beginning. You're still trying to get some information to find any kind of meaning in what you're accumulating and all the information that has been given to you. Because what you can't do is to say, okay, I have information A and I have information B, and I'm just going to remember them. This is how it's going to work in my mind. And if I have 10 pieces of information, maybe I'm just going to memorize them. This is not how our mind works. So what happens after day one? Your friend has learned by heart how to put step A till 10, one after the other. And you, on the other hand, haven't even tried to learn how to put one after the other because there is no sense in it yet. You know that if you don't find a system within it, maybe you'll be able to do the steps 1 till 10, but will you be able to take on the steps 20 till 30 just because you know how you're supposed to do 1 till 10? Probably not. You would have to know that the way it works is that you start with 1, then you go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the reason why it works is because you know that you put one number after the other. I've chosen a very simple example here, but of course in reality it's not that simple. The rules are difficult and the rules all have a system behind it. Most of the time we're actually the ones who create that system within us. It's not that there's always this one system and you always use it. We find something that works. We find a pattern. And it's so important to us to find that pattern that we don't even try to memorize the first steps. But what does that mean? Well, it means it takes a little bit longer. In just a matter of a day, with the information that you have at hand, you probably are not able to create a system yet. We have to always remember that this is not just the way our mind works because we know this is the fastest way to an answer. This is also the way we love to learn. We're not good at memories. We're not good at keeping detailed stuff in our mind. We know that. So we automatically focus on a different kind of learning. So every single time we get in a situation like this, so it can be at work when you learn a new skill, it can be when you're around your friends, it can be in any kind of scenario, you'll always have this thing in your mind telling you, why are you not fast enough? You cannot imagine how many INFJs I speak to. So I've heard this from clients of mine, I've read it in comments, I've seen it in the boot camp. INFJs who are afraid of taking that next step. They're afraid of getting into a new situation because they know they're going to be slower. They know they're gonna take longer, and maybe they even feel like I will never be able to learn it, or if I'm able to learn it, it's gonna take forever and I don't have the time. By the time I learn it, the entire task doesn't even matter in the first place. So it's a vicious circle we keep reliving over and over again, asking ourselves, how are we going to keep going? How are we going to hide this fact of ours? Because if others would see that, they would fire us, they would judge us, and we would feel embarrassed. Let me tell you this one thing. None of this is going to cause a problem for you as long as you don't judge yourself for it. So I learned this a long time ago. So my whole household, my mom's a mathematician. We have been in the learning process my entire life. And so I've always been on point when it came to learning things. And so since I've had that experience of being put in situations where I constantly have to learn something, I have learned very quickly how my mind works. And my mind works exactly like this every single time. And it doesn't even matter if it's a skill. It's also about how I do my life. Nowadays, you can see so much of everything I've learned in the last 10 years, and my life has catapulted to a new place nobody in my surrounding could have ever imagined. Because 10 years ago, we all looked like we're at the same place. Maybe I was even a little bit slower. I wasn't doing the things that you expected in life because I was sort of struggling. At least that's how it looked from the outside. But here's the twist. I know that. And I've learned it a long time ago. I know my mind, and I know that INFJ's mind works with an exponential learning curve. Get that into your mind and never ever forget it. So what I mean by this is that no matter who you compare yourself with, if you have the same tasks at hand, and it could also be designing your life, right? Creating that epic life on your terms. It's always going to take you longer in the short term. That other person is gonna go a linear way. But then you come over here, and what you do is you create that exponential curve that gets you to a new level you would have never expected. But you will never ever be able to get there if you give up. So, how do we get to a point where we trust ourselves enough not to give up? We start by admitting to ourselves and our surroundings that people should not even expect of us to be fast. I never got in a situation where I tried to hide the fact that I'm going to take longer. I never ever pretended that. I learned that it's going to take me longer, and that's okay because I know why I do it. I know that I'm going to learn more complex things, and I see this with all of the INFJs I work with. It's really the way we think and the way we learn. It's our learning style. There is no such thing as INFJs are slow learners. The only way we can be considered slow learners if you look at it from a short-term perspective. If you have a task that will take you, let's say, 2 weeks to really understand thoroughly, then others are probably going to be faster when it comes to the first couple of days. But when you give yourself the time of those 2 weeks, you have learned it so much that you understand the pattern behind it, you know how to apply it to a different system, and next time when you take on the next challenge, what you have learned so far in this first skill or in this first project, this will give you such an advantage point because you don't have to start from the beginning how others might have to. See, every single personality type has a different style of learning, and I don't believe that one is necessarily better than the other one. But what we have to learn is this is how our mind works. This is how I'm going to succeed, and in what kind of situations can I apply myself where it makes most sense. So for example, the best way to do this is to put yourself in situations where you deal with more complex matters, where it takes longer. Maybe for others it's too complex, there are too many information and they will get lost in them. You, on the other hand, are perfectly capable of looking into this huge box of thousands of information to synthesize the most important ones, to pick up a pattern, and then to apply this pattern not only to this project itself, but to other projects and other life arenas as well. This is what we have to learn, and this is what we have to trust in. So every single time, like starting from college, when I was learning with my best friend, she was always faster than me. It has never been that we've ever started to learn something together and she wasn't faster at it than me in the first couple of days, maybe even in the first week. But every single time we get closer to the exams, I always reached the finish line. And I probably reached it even faster than she did. Why? Because I knew that I'm working with the INFJ learning style. And the INFJ learning style is an exponential learning curve. So as long as you have that in your mind and you put that pressure away from you, you trust that this is the way you're gonna work, you're gonna see results. And you're going to be okay if people say he or she is so slow, because you know, well, that's how I am. I'm not trying to hide the fact because I know why I'm slow. I'm slow because I'm thorough. I'm slow because I'm looking for patterns. I'm slow because I'm looking for the long run. I want to win big. I'm not looking for the first thing I can reach here. What for? That's not exciting enough for me. That's not going to get me wherever I want to be. And remember, this doesn't only apply to any kind of skills you learn at your job. This is also about how you design your life. This isn't a sprint. This is a marathon. And the more you trust in the way you learn and the way you approach things, the more you're going to stay on track. Because what do we mostly do if we're afraid and we don't trust in ourselves? We think we're just not good enough and we give up right before that exponential curve actually goes up and surpasses everybody around you. This is what is the most important thing I have learned about the INFJ learning style, about the way we accumulate knowledge, and it's something I want you to be so aware of. So if you believe there is no way I can convince myself that it's going to get better, no matter what is going on, I feel I'm a slow learner, then don't try to hide it. Get to a position where you're like, if I get fired because I'm slow, then that be it. I know that some of us are in situations where we don't have the luxury to actually do that, but most of the time it's more a mental thing than a real fear. Because let's be honest here, are people really going to fire you because you take 3 days to learn something in the beginning when you start a job? Normally, it takes a minute. The more complex the task is, the more time you should be given. And if there are people around you who put that pressure on you, then it's probably not because they're the most empathetic, the smartest, or the most capable people. Because people who have learned a lot, who have accumulated a lot of knowledge, they know that there are different learning styles. They know that we all need to have the time to have all the information we want and need in order to create that result. The short-term things never really matter. And if you're in a position where you're constantly in situations where you have to learn something super quickly, then this is probably not the right position for you. This probably isn't complex enough for you, because this is such an easy task that people who are fast at learning, who can do the simple things in a quick manner, they will always win here. You have to put yourself in situations where it's harder, where it's not that easy, where not everybody dares to go there. So look at my life, for example. I gave up the safe route. I was in consulting, it all looked great, but it wasn't enough for me. This kind of life wasn't complex enough for me. I knew that I wasn't tapping into my potential. So what did I do? I said, I'm going to give up the easy road and I'm going to take on a life path that's more complex, that very few people go and dare to take on, because it's not easy. You have to be persistent, you have to believe in yourself, and you have to be okay with knowing that the results are not going to happen right away. I took on this challenge because I knew that even if this doesn't work, I will always regret not taking it on. I wanted to see how far can I go before I fail? How far can I take this? Because unless you go that way, you will never know where your boundaries are. You will never know how much of your great way of thinking you're utilizing in the real world. So I took on this complex challenge, and guess what? It took a couple of years, but now you can see results that surpass everything that I would have been ever able to reach with the old safe road, where all my colleagues were able to get ahead and where they seemed like they're going faster. I took on the more complex road, because that's the thing. The more complex your task is, the faster you will see the results of your exponential curve, because not so many people can take on the complexity that you can solve with the fact that you have an introverted intuition, which picks up all this information, and your introverted thinking, which gives meaning and a system to all of it. Remember, if you want to get all the strategies, all the lessons learned that I have gathered throughout my life and also working with a lot of financially successful INFJs, then get the video course on financial abundance for INFJs. It's created specifically for you after you voted for it. You can get it through the link in the description or through the prompt in the video. If you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, watch the video on the INFJ